Hello, welcome along to Bangkok Chit Chat. Today is a Pattaya report. Round the table we have Craig and Bryan. And I guess the first question has to be, well, him as well, but first thing is...
I'm an important
part of the furniture. The first thing is you've come from Pattaya today, so you've gone from province to province. Did you have any problem coming out of Chonburi province into Bangkok?
Well, I actually came Monday, so I've been down for a couple of days. But no, in fact, it was probably one of the smoothest drives that I've ever had because the traffic is so much less than what it has been because of the word being out on the street that you should only travel for essential reasons.
But paperwork you did, what did you do?
Yeah, I mean, I got all the paperwork, and to be honest, it was a very, very painless experience. There was an office. Well, there was an office about 600 metres away from where I lived. I needed to go with my wife, a Thai speaker, in order to fill the form in because the form's in Thai.
To have a Thai?
Well, unless you can speak Thai, because the form's only in Thai. So
it's only in Thai?
Yeah, the form's only in Thai.
Oh, right.
So, I mean, it was one of those. I mean, I think we first turned up, and perhaps in that particular office, I was the first foreigner to have applied there because one of the ladies who was sat in the first desk that we had to go and see suggested that Phalangs were not allowed to leave the province. But my wife quickly sort of put an end to that and said, no, actually they are, because we know a number of Phalangs who have left the province. So once we got over that initial tiny hurdle, quite frankly, it was a case of filling a form in, going to one desk, getting it stamped, going to another desk, getting it stamped.
So 10 minutes?
And then off, not even that. And there was a huge area with probably about, 12 or 15 different stations for people to go through the process for you. And
how much
I was
cost?
the only person in
there.
What
does it cost?
I don't think it cost. I don't even know if it cost anything. It may have cost 100 baht.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure, but it may not have cost anything.
So here it says, what do you need to do in case you need to travel between provinces? It says prepare some documents which are your passport and work permit, if you have any, and a copy. So you've got to take your permit and passport size photo in case they start to ask for it, because maybe they need it, maybe they don't, and the documents to approve the importance of the journey. So if it's something like a funeral or a doctor's appointment or something like that, and you go to the city hall. Is that all? I mean, the reason I'm asking is what you see and what you have to do are normally different things.
Where's the city hall in Bangkok for a start?
Precisely, this is the whole thing. I mean, the whole story had been on various media and whatever that city hall was where you had to go and collect these passes to travel into province. The story was that they only give them for you for 1 day, to travel for 1 day, and it took you up to a day to get it. So I actually delayed any business that I had to attend to in Bangkok by a couple of weeks because I didn't want to obviously go through all that hassle and then have to go and come back in the same day. But the reality of it was very different. Yes, there was a couple of questions and I had most of that paperwork ready to go, as in a copy of the work permit.
It's common sense now, isn't it?
Everything, but quite frankly, I think they asked me where my office was located in Bangkok. Didn't ask for a full address, just the area. I said Pattaya, and they said, oh, that's fine. And then...
Do you have to do the same thing when you go back?
I believe I've got to do it again each time I come,
But do you have to get something to say you're going back to Pattaya from within Bangkok?
The paperwork that you've got covers a backwards and forwards.
It's like a return ticket.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me 5.
Cat feet. It's too small.
You're back all right there. But yeah, it was pretty much that, and then you tell them when you want to come back. So for me personally, I went on a Monday and I want to come back on Saturday, and both those dates are stipulated in the paperwork. But as others will allude to, and people I've spoken to, there aren't any checks. But
no, that's the point I was going to.
But Bryan came up today. Did you face anything?
No, but I know what these checks are like. Last time we had checks in Pattaya, loads of people messaging me. They say I can't come to East Pattaya, and I just said half the time there's no one there anyway. Like sometimes my dad was using his Thai driving license to get through. How does that prove he lives in Pattaya? Most of the time they just asked the driver, not anyone else. Sometimes they weren't there. Sometimes they didn't ask anything.
Right.
So when I came here today, I just thought I'll run the gauntlet, and if they turn me around, then so be it. But I've got a media card.
I'm glad they didn't, otherwise you wouldn't be here.
Media card.
I've got a news card, which means that if there's a lockdown or anything, I can go out and do stuff. I've got a camera with me just in case.
So you're covered anyway. I mean, you say you've got that
Right, so
that pass,
if I explain
literally.
for people that don't know, what happened was about a week, 2 weeks ago, there was a total lockdown within
On the
Chonburi,
second wave.
and other eastern provinces. And then there's a lot of misinformation. You couldn't leave, you could leave, and etc. So now there's a situation now that you can leave and you can go back in, yeah, but you have to go through the hassle.
I think you still have to have a good reason. I mean, going to work counts as a good reason.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to allow people to go on holiday or just to catch up with a mate and have a bit of dinner or whatever. I think
Although in theory they probably could, right?
They wouldn't check.
So
because
the
I
point.
guess the paperwork itself, obviously I don't know because it's in Thai, so I don't actually know what it says. But presumably the paperwork is just standard and just says you have permission to leave. It doesn't say you have permission to leave to go to work or you have permission to leave to go to a funeral or whatever the essential.
Is there going for a holiday on there? I know it's in Thai, but would you? Actually, there's no point talking about this. Is it on there? You cannot go for a weekend away because all these hotels that between the first wave and the second wave were making quite a bit of money at the weekends, right? I know from people that went to Santara, 1,500 baht a night, and they were busy, really busy. Now, you're not allowed to go to Santara for a weekend away, right?
That's right. Yeah, you're not allowed. Yeah.
So they're not obviously offering, and they closed, or what they do?
Any idea of when they're going to lift this?
The gyms maybe on the 25th, and then we're thinking bars at the end of this month.
This is countrywide or just Pattaya?
Red zones, I think. It depends on each area. I'll
Bangkok's
talk
a red
about
zone,
Pattaya because we're getting 0 a day. So
yesterday the report said there'd been 0 new cases, and they did 300 tests at a Pattaya market of people, and they didn't find anything. So
this show's going out on the Friday, so there's a couple of days before the show goes out. But okay, well, I mean, so you reckon next week they're going to lift these restrictions, and the hotels then will open up again like they did before for weekends away? I mean, 1,500 baht the Santara.
I think gyms on the 25th, and at the end of the month, I think other things will be open in stages because there's nothing going on.
So it's totally just now. Are you seeing businesses? This is our second wave. Yeah, we really didn't have a first wave, to be honest. But I don't think. Okay, we've got about 8,000 people that have been infected, and we had about, last I saw was maybe about
65 deaths.
It was interesting. I had a case the other day with somebody who was applying for a life insurance, right? And because it was a borderline with some of the health issues. They'd used COVID as a reason why, instead of usually if someone's got borderline health issues, you'll pay a bit more for the life insurance, but they'll still offer the cover, yeah? In this particular case, they blamed COVID. They said, due to these COVID circumstances. So I wrote back to the insurers and I said, I've just had a look and there's been 70 deaths in Thailand since the COVID started.
Right.
And there's 70 million people.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be a genius mathematician to work out. You've got a 1 in a million chance of dying of it.
Yeah.
And this chap was probably about 15 years younger than the youngest person who'd actually died of it. So I said, when you put that into context as well, you can probably times it by 5. So you're saying this guy's got a 1 in 5 million chance of catching the COVID and dying from it. And that's the reason why you're not going to,
And what's the response?
I haven't heard back yet, but I mean, it's...
They're probably scratching their head going, we have to have a meeting about this.
I'm just sick and tired of okay, I understand it's affected people massively, but it's always the excuse now. Like when I'm dealing with work and you're dealing with people in the UK and whatever with, financial institutions.
They're looking at their circumstance.
It's
that's
always
why,
because of the COVID-19. And you're like, well, hang on a sec, you've had 10, 12 months to work out how to deal with this now.
Well, I keep saying we're 12 months down the line almost, right? We're towards the end of January now, so we knew about it, February time. We don't really know better off what we know about it. I mean,
what we do know is about the vaccine.
Well, that's a load of rubbish.
How's that?
Because it's 3 months they're testing. It normally takes 2 years of testing it before they let it out to the public.
Here's a suggestion.
3 months, how can they do it?
Why don't we just wait for 2 years before we put it out? What they're doing is that they're cutting to the chase and saying, yes, there is a risk to this.
To take it.
Yeah,
I'd rather catch the COVID.
Really?
Yeah, because I know what the consequences are.
All right. Well, personally,
hopefully.
Right. Well, that's something for another time. But I mean, the fact is that comes to another
the vaccine thing is
the vaccine is a totally different story. But because I think they've said they're not going to enforce people when they're renewing their visa to have a COVID test. They're saying not. Yeah. But as we've seen, whether it's the UK or here, it's they just flip flop, all the time. I think that is going to come through, But back to Pattaya just for the moment,
I was going to say back to Pattaya. I think about 25% of restaurants are open right now because a lot of them can't make money if they can't sell alcohol. So
I think that's
alcohol is a
totally
big
ridiculous. This
problem.
alcohol ban. It's totally ridiculous. I mean, you got people speaking through a Perspex screen, What's wrong with having a wine with your meal or something like that?
7-Eleven closes at 10 o'clock. You
You can buy beer in a 7-Eleven.
But I think the idea...
I think, at the moment.
You can.
I think it's the
it's
idea about getting people getting drunk, isn't it?
They become more promiscuous.
All right,
in every
limit
aspect
Limit it then. If
Yeah,
they want to
I was
manage
just going to
it.
say that's what they need to do, because that would then not prevent people going out. Because as you say, if you're going for a nice dinner, you want a nice glass of wine to go with your dinner, right? Most people
So
do
you're
that.
allowed one bottle of wine. You are two Leos.
One bottle of wine at a table
or
or
two
something.
Leos. Please.
I think even that would make
How are
a
you gonna
difference.
do it?
If that's the rationale, is that, as you say, the minute that you have too much to drink, you start flouting.
And you go, I love you. I've done it round our house with friends. They say, Andy, on the first way, they go, keep your distance. And I'd had a few beers. I'm going, hello, mate. How's it going? They go, there you go.
Yeah, but no, that's you've gone to a certain level. Yeah, we're talking about having a drink with your meal. We're not talking about going on a session. Yeah.
Yeah. So how are you going to regulate that? So,
you say that exactly. You say a
bottle of wine
table
per
of 4,
person?
2 bottles of wine.
You can only have alcohol with your meal. So if you have a meal,
well, that's what they were doing earlier on,
can't
weren't they? Now you can't, but they were in the.
They did it for about 30 seconds.
I can't
and
remember
they
now.
changed it. Yeah.
So that means 25%. I mean, I've know restaurateurs here as well, and they've said, this is crippling. Yeah? Yes, you can serve food, but you're not getting the revenue in to cover all the costs. Yeah, and of course. As a restaurant, why are you going to a restaurant rather than eating at home? It's for the service, so you still have to have the staff, So they've still got the same overhead, as if if they had wine or not,
Yeah.
So the cost, so they're basically surviving, and some are just going to hell with it.
I mean, sorry, go on.
With the lockdown mentality, most people are just staying at home anyway. So
Fear.
I don't agree with banning alcohol, but if the more they ruin it for everyone, the more that people are going to stay at home and the easier to control.
Well, I mean, the Thai culture for eating, and we're not talking about the European or English pub culture. The Thai ways, the Norway Thais, and we all go to these restaurants. They'll have their whiskey, and the waitress will fill up a little bit of whiskey with the soda. It's a major part of their socialising around a meal.
Yeah.
And they'll be there not for 45 minutes, get it down and let's go. It's a whole thing, and I love it to death. I think it's great. But they think that people, the Thais will get red in the face, let alone about driving and causing deaths like that. They say they get drunk and they get more promiscuous, not necessarily sex-wise, but they get closer to people. And they say, we've got to stop that. We've got to keep people stone cold sober so that they won't go out. They fear it, and that's it. They won't socialise.
Well, I think there's a difference. I mean, I know you get the bar, and you're in the bars. I tend to agree at the moment, but I think for restaurants where when you're eating with something, number one, it's soaking up an awful lot of the alcohol, so you're not going to be paralytic.
Correct. Yeah.
So with eating, I think it should be allowed, and hope they do lift it, because what you're going to have is tourists coming back. Let's hope in 6 months, and either these restaurants will be replaced by new investors, or there's not going to be the same. Because they're not sure really what's going to happen. There's going to be another wave through another COVID strain, whether people are going to say, forget it. And where are the tourists going to go?
How are the big pubs in Pattaya doing? I can't remember any of their names. Robin Hood's one, I know, isn't it?
Yeah, Robin Hood, they're not making money, put it that way. Sportsman's still open. I think he's losing a little bit. But it's like me, we just want to keep the staff employed, and they want to just... And now's the perfect time to advertise as well, because let's say you're losing 30,000 a month. You imagine how many new customers you're bringing in your door for the first time because everyone else is closed.
Yeah.
So the biggest problem having a restaurant is changing people's habits because they all eat in the same places. So you've got all these influx of new people that hopefully keep that same
Remain
habit.
pipe. Yeah, that's what I've been advising to my clients is this is a time where everybody else is cutting back.
Free
You should be
advertising.
doing your advertising. Yeah.
Well, you buy low, don't you? Sell
You
high.
don't need
right?
to advertise when you're the only place open because everyone's like coming to you. So that's what I mean. Like you're losing a little bit of money, but your name's getting
Here's a
out there.
question.
And also some trial and error stuff, I suppose, like you say, new dishes, that type of thing, because you want to be doing it at a time when, you know, you don't want to be
get
doing it
the
at a busy
punter in.
time, where otherwise people might go there. If it doesn't work, at least you're not putting people off who won't come back again.
Well, the fact is that some people are not. I won't go into all the business because I know you hate it.
No, don't worry.
But
I'm hungry.
We'll do a Try Business show. We'll do one after.
There we go. That's a good idea. So yeah, basically, it's a good time to advertise, promote, etc. Because other people are cutting back. Yeah.
Here's a question to Bryan, because business minded. No, I'm not adverse to business. I just because. You know,
It bores you.
don't
Yeah,
like
okay.
it. Yeah, absolutely. What type of businesses in Pattaya will go out of business, do you think? I mean, I know this is a difficult question, but what type of place hangs on, and as long as the staff are being paid for, or nearly, or even they may be putting a little bit of their own money to keep it, are the ones that are just going to go straight under and never rise again?
I don't think any will go straight under. I feel that the cabaret shows and stuff like that, that's going to take a while. And then the ones that were just aimed at solely Chinese, I think they'll take a while, but they've all got deep pockets. I think that everything's going to spring back, and you're going to see a lot of new owners in town. Maybe you'll see quite a few landlords trying business for the first time because maybe the buyers won't be around.
Yeah,
I'm seeing nothing crazy go on now. I've spoken to lots of people selling stuff. No one's doing any cheap prices yet.
So would you, maybe you're on the lookout to buy another bar. I would have thought, as you were saying, you know, now's the time to buy, but you're saying the prices aren't coming down.
I'm driving around every day. There's no traffic and I drive around, and I've been taking my son out for the first time to work because I keep him separate to the bars. So now he's coming in the car and I'm like, look at this location here. It's a shop. One day that'll make a nice bar, so let's talk to the owner. Let's get to know the owner. Let's go see him every month for the next 2-3 years. Let's get that location. Wow. And then I went to look at other restaurants because I've got guys that want to invest, and I'm like, okay, so if I get to know this landlord, get to know the tenant, and then I find an investor for it, or I want to invest myself, when that person does walk away, then you can have a conversation with everyone and you can get the deal done straight away. So there are opportunities out there, but I'm seeing the prices are still high. There's one bar I like, they want 6.5 million. And I thought maybe 1 million or 2 million would be about right price right now, but they said no, they want 6.
It's still open, are they?
Everything's closed now, but they were open, yeah. So next week, hopefully they're open again. And there's quite a few bars with key money coming up as well. And they're trying to sell desperately, but until they go below 500,000, because the way I see it, anything below 1 million is a punt for some people. But once you start getting to 3-4 million, you're talking life savings for some guys.
Okay. I mean, I've seen some videos, sad ones, about Beach Road in Pattaya at night after 6 or 7 o'clock. Have you been there? Have you experienced this firsthand? I've just seen some photos. Do you see that one with that doll on a chair in front of Walking Street? It's a doll mimicking famous...
They've been doing it all over Pattaya.
Yes, they have. Yeah, the doll's from some scary movie, whatever. It's got like blood coming down his eyes, and then they put it in a chair in front of Walking Street late at night. Late at night, dark, and it looks really scary. And then you see the chair and the doll on a beach at night. They're just really accentuating how empty everywhere is.
Well, also the business saying, don't come down here.
Scary. You saw those photos.
It's a ghost town, isn't it? That's what it's trying to imply, isn't it?
All these empty bars, would there not be a lot of break-ins and this kind of thing? Because they're empty.
Do they keep their stock inside these bars when they close?
There's been an increase of thefts around
that's the
Pattaya,
one.
so they're doing more checkpoints.
It's got a visor on.
But we haven't seen anything in our bars. We've got security up and down the soy because we've got gills.
People are desperate, so you'd think there'd be more crime happening. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Sorry,
We've had a few temple robberies. So there's nothing like I thought. When COVID first happened and the first lockdown went off, a Thai guy that quite a few of us know went into a 7-Eleven and held him up with a gun. But I haven't heard of anything crazy. I was expecting more of that.
Right. What about homeless? Because I saw something, there was an awful lot more
Oh
homeless
yeah, you mentioned that.
on the streets.
We tried to help with the homelessness. We were going to pay for the tickets for them to go home, and they said they don't want to go home. They want to stay here and get drunk. And
Who are the homeless people?
I mean,
most
don't know about name. No.
originally, like we were going to give
There's
them.
John, Fred, Jeff.
Don't forget Mary.
We were going to help
Some
them
Charlie.
out, and then City Hall said, "Well, we need to send them home." So we said, "Okay, let's buy them tickets." But they're like, "We don't want to go home. We get free booze here. There's money around in the home. There's nothing," and so they want to stay here. But this time, I think a lot of people just went home immediately.
Is this Thai and Falang or just?
Thais, like last time, people were waiting and waiting. Now this time the lockdown came, everyone just like mass exodus. Everyone left.
Right.
So there's barely anyone around this time. Whereas before, everyone was unsure. They were all waiting.
Are the changing? Are the beaches open now? Because
Yeah,
they
they're-
weren't, were they, in the
I
first
don't
lockdown?
think they ever
right?
closed them in this particular.
Yeah, they were before,
restrictions.
actually, yeah.
Before,
They closed them the first time, but I don't think they've ever been closed this time. So if you're a beach bum, then you're probably really enjoying it because you've got the place to yourself.
They're avoiding the
Wouldn't
word
it be
lockdown.
nice? Copyright.
Not that I've been to the beach for some time.
So what
I've
about
been there late at night.
I was down there a few
For a
weeks
while.
ago, and we went along second road. Yeah, I went for a massage. So I got a foot massage, and Sue got another massage, and
A couple's
yeah,
massage.
yeah.
Couple's massage. Yeah.
yeah. No, it was fantastic. But what was the whole street was totally dead.
Yeah.
There's basically nobody on the street. I was shocked.
No, I mean same Samui, right, and Phuket. I mean these
didn't-
places are.
11 days travelling around. I went to loads of places, and Pattaya is the best. Believe me, just far better.
In
Why?
what way?
Just there's more people around. Let's say there's 100 to 200,000 people, whereas in Pai
Oh yeah,
it was dead. I'd just been to Koh Phangan for 2 days, and that had a lot of 50% of expats have gone, and then there's no tourists, and they live off the tourists down there doing yoga courses. But they are getting people from Bangkok coming down.
Yeah, I think I was trying to push for Bangkok. What about events? I read there was there's going to be an event in
Cancelled.
February.
Move on.
Well, I mean that's what I thought. It'd be all cancelled, but they're having a regatta. Yeah, effectively, basically
A sea regatta, boat regatta.
sailing. Yeah, competition, and it is called Plateau. The Plateau Championship, and the first round is in February, and then the second round is in May. The third round, July.
Well, that might well
etc.,
happen in February because you said these
Last one in
restrictions are
October.
going to.
No, but I just think it's good that they're. I mean, you can't. You talk about social distancing and sailing.
Yeah, but middle of February, it could be
You're
a
not
whole
going to have
different
many
ballgame,
people on
right?
the boat. Yeah,
I
you're
was down the yacht club, the yacht place.
The
other day.
marine thing,
Yeah, the
the
marina. I used to have
yeah.
a jet ski down there. All the businesses are open, and then there's a restaurant outside now, so they're exempt for being closed.
Because
But I think
Well, they can
also
still be open anyway. This can't
within
sell alcohol.
Chonburi as well.
Yeah.
It's not just the province as a whole. There is restrictions which are in certain areas within the province as well, I believe. So maybe down by the Ocean Marine or whatever there it was.
But I mean, at the moment, you're saying as
Less
Bangkok, right? All
restrictions then.
schools closed, and I mean,
oh yeah, I mean schools and those sort
Closed.
of things. But I think it does drill down further into sub districts within.
And what about the support from
the state.
Do you feel that there is good dissemination of information out to the people in Pattaya? Obviously, it's going to be better in Thai.
Well, I think
but,
in Thailand, I mean, we're lucky. That guy, is it Panu, that comes every day onto the, does the announcement every day and explains, it spends about 15, 20 minutes explaining where the situation is. I think that's really good and really clear, and he says everything. I think when you talk about information these days, the biggest problem is where you source your information from, and obviously Bryan know that better than anybody.
Yeah, but it
and
doesn't
then stuff
change,
that gets
doesn't it?
shared. It does
Very
change all the
quickly, you
time,
know.
but I mean, sometimes there's people too much of a hurry just to say something, even though they may not
Preempt
have any sort of,
something, right?
decent grounds and to back up what they're saying, and then it's the old Chinese whispers, and
but you got PR releases to your
We get.
channel?
I'm not involved in that side too heavy. I met Nop once, and he looks at our news too, and he said his data's limited, because I think that's one of the problems is you've got to look in 10 different places. You've got to look at Royal Gazette, and then there's the government PR page, and then there's other media come up with other things. Like, we had something the other day that one of our writers wrote, and a prominent Bangkok business owner said to me, like, where was that sourced? So then I found it in Thai. So guys like him, they're looking everywhere for information. And I know it sounds like amateurish and that, but I think with the government there's too many departments and people are taking quotes.
Yeah.
Like
got the health ministry, and then the PM will say what he said wasn't right.
Yeah,
so
they take
they're not,
quotes.
the Royal Gazette though, once it's in there, it's set in stone, isn't it?
One of the issues is with this visa thing and having to have tests. It's very erroneous, ambiguous statements. Yeah? So it's how it's interpreted. That's common. That's very common in most Thai law. Yeah. So that is one of the problems. But one question is, right? The UK, we're all from the UK, that we hear they're giving furloughs and assistance and etc. Now Thailand, through the social security, if you lose your job, you can get money, 5,000 baht, or I think it was only for 3 months. Yeah. At that time, is there any assistance for businesses? Yeah. From the government, like grants? They're talking about small business loans, which I don't know anybody who's managed to even get that.
I very much doubt it. Just to come back to that point, though, I was chatting to somebody last night who mentioned about, I believe there was an announcement yesterday about the assistance they're going to give of this 3,500 bahts to individuals to spend, but it's all being done through an app, so you can only go and spend it
like
in
a
shops
wallet.
and that type
It's
of
a
thing.
wallet thing.
And as the lady said to me, well, how do I pay my room with that? Because of course it's not cash. They were going to give 3,500 cash, but then they decided to somehow put it into an app, which possibly feeds the likes of CP and all the rest of it.
To answer your question, there's a lot of people out there that don't pay tax, so they can sit there moaning, but there has to be a lesson to them. But then if they do pay tax, there's not too much help being offered. The hotel guys, I feel like they're on our side, but the other day they were saying, please close us down so we get compensation. Yeah. And then it got rejected, which I'm happy because they're still on our team now. They're still in the boat with us, so we still have to fight together to get open again. What I've been doing is I invited business owners to come on our news and complain in Thai people, so they do listen. And then we've had 3 or 4 businesses on there, and I use one of mine just to complain about their situation, the lack of help and money.
Yeah, but I think they borrowed was it billions, and I just wonder how are they going to get that money back to pay that back, considering corporation tax they would normally get is going to be so much reduced, if anything.
Profits,
I mean, I think something that might happen is it might increase the VAT from 7% to 10%. If I try and
it's a situation the world over, isn't
it? It is, yes.
The economy impact that it's had is going to have to be recovered from an increase in tax. I mean, that's what's going to happen.
This has been a really strange Pattaya report.
No,
the strangest one. No, actually one of the most fun ones, but the strangest ever. I'd like to finish. I think we're finishing up here. You're talking about testing for work permits. This is for foreigners here. So testing maybe before...
Not only for foreigners. Now they're going to be insisting you have a test before you come to Thailand, which you have been anyway.
Can you see a point where you will go for a work permit, but you'll need a vaccination before you get granted one?
Not at this point, but I think
do you see it coming?
I don't see that coming. Funnily enough, I did think it would happen, but the way the feeling is just now is with the testing. That's one thing, because we were already here. We're here, so basically we're clean, as you said.
But we want to get the tourists back, right? So how do we make them safe here?
I think they will insist that you've got to have a test before you come
and vaccinated.
And I think they'll reduce the quarantine time down to 10 days.
So you still have. So what do you think about the vaccination for tourists? If they're vaccinated, they could come in and miss the quarantine, or?
They're still arguing over this because the hotel guys want clear clarification because there's different vaccines in different countries and there's different You can't trust what some countries will say.
And I'm sure the airlines will have a say as well, won't they? The airlines are going to have their own policies and processes in place for moving people from one country to another.
I mean, surely, Pattaya would prosper if the rule of thumb was you can come to Thailand and walk straight into Pattaya if you've been vaccinated. Maybe take a test.
I think the testing is going to improve where you're going to get a result within 30 minutes, yeah? Once that happens...
one in April.
Right, so when that happens and you haven't got it, then I think things will get
Yeah, but you still got to do
easier.
that. You see, when you get tested, there's also an incubation period of time, you see. So it's not...
maybe 2 weeks before...
I want to see
and
tourists
then-
walk straight off the plane, and straight into Pattaya and go to your bars, mate. You know what I mean? I want to see... And the restaurants and, whatever. What will happen? What steps do we have to go through to make that happen? Testing is one thing, but I can see vaccinations not being the end of the argument here.
They may want people to be vaccinated in their home country before they come here, but with regards to people here at the moment, the issue is that it can't get enough and they can't distribute enough. So if that does happen and is readily available, they're talking about a price of 3,200 baht, to get the vaccination.
For two. That's two jabs.
For two, yeah.
Yeah.
So then it's not a rip-off. Yeah?
So for the
I
tourists...
hope the government puts a cap on that.
For the tourists coming in, when can you see they can just, as I say, walk off the plane straight into Pattaya without any quarantine, anything?
Right now, to come here, you need to have a test 2 days before, I think.
Correct.
And then one guy said to me the other day, he had a test, but then he's on a plane with Thai people that don't have to have a test. So then, even though he's getting tested 2 days before in incubation, you're now on a plane with a mix of people, so you can catch it on the plane. So that's going to hold the quarantine back unless they get that nailed.
Right. Yeah. So basically, we don't know.
So as I started off this program, 12 months down the line, we're in no better situation as we were 12 months ago.
I think I would make a guess June, July. Things start opening up more.
You think this year?
I think it would depend on how well they've distributed the vaccines within the originating country.
2 million's coming in June, July.
Which one though? The Chinese one, which is a 50-50?
No, the Chinese one, they only had, I think they had 200,000 for public and 200,000.
Yeah, but I mean, they say that the cure rate or whatever is
Seneca,
50-50 or they're working.
Yeah, that's just the Chinese one.
Yeah,
whereas the Oxford one and the fifth one, it's 95.
See, it all comes down to the distribution of that vaccine, and also in Thailand, for anyone who's a golfer, they can actually do the quarantine at a golf course, not the golf course, but
Of course.
somewhere where you've got a hotel
I think
attached
it's spelled
to it.
differently. Yeah.
Right? Like one of my clients, Banyan down in Hua Hin, that's something I'm not sure if they are looking at it, but they should be looking at that to open up their beautiful villas, little villas, and it's two bedrooms, and you can go out and you get your own private swimming pool, etc. It's chlorine, so anything you've got is going to kill it anyway, and it's just the water moves around. You're staying there for a month or whatever. Quarantine is just perfect.
Yeah, you've got to have that time to spare though. For people that are coming over here for
2-week
10
thing,
days.
no, they're not going to do it. No.
Okay, so let's finish this off with, I'll push this on you, you don't even know what I'm going to say.
Question for you.
Please.
What do you think about the 300 baht tax that they're going to charge when people arrive?
It's like airport taxes. They brought it back. That was 500.
That was 500 when
But
you
what is
left.
that 300
Yeah,
baht
it's 500
for?
when you
I read something
I
to
don't know
do
what
with
that's
insurance.
about.
Yeah.
What for?
It said a tourism tax.
Yeah,
but
it's to support tourists.
What tourists?
I think it's for, all these expats that have no money and they end up in hospital running up bills. I think it's to cover that. Hopefully, it's to cover getting things renovated.
Oh, okay. Well, if it goes, I have no problem taking 300 baht off a visitor. That is nothing. And if it goes to a good cause, like you said, I just thought it's. Well, you mentioned, I didn't want to say it. But, I think it's going to go to someone's coffers.
It's all very well saying you get 300 baht, but the cost of getting that 300 baht, telling people to have the 300 baht, collecting that 300 baht, giving them a piece of paper to say you've paid that 300 baht.
The airlines will just
They could put it on the air like they did the tax, right?
The airlines will swallow it.
They did that. The 500 baht one
Well, as
when
long
you
as
left.
a system in place. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to finish off with this one. If you had the choice of taking a vaccine tomorrow, the good one, in sense of the 95%, so they reckon, would you take it tomorrow? Would you take it tomorrow? Would you take it tomorrow? Yes or no? Simple as that.
on the basis that it's likely that you're going to need it in order to travel, then yes.
Would you take it?
If there was no restrictions on not having it, then no. But if I was restricted, if I was told I
have to.
Yeah, but basically, I want, like everybody else in the world, to get on with my life as it was before this.
But you would
this
take
came
it if
along.
you were forced to take it. Basically, that's what you're saying.
I mean, I'm quite blasé about it, really. I mean, if it came down to it, and they, we don't know what you're going to be restricted from doing by not having the vaccine.
Yeah.
If you're restricted from doing things by not having it, then just give it to me, because I don't want to be restricted.
I bet he says no.
The funny thing is I see guys smoking, drinking, doing some nasty stuff in Pattaya. They come in our bars and do all sorts of things, and then they're getting rammed in the back end, on soy 6-1 by ladyboys, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm not taking a vaccine." I'm like, I just seen you do. You just told me the time that you did this, and and I'm like, you're worried about a vaccine.
But
so
would you take it?
my answer is, I'm not going to go out my way. But if someone says I need to take it, I'll take it, because I don't really care, and I feel like I don't need it, but I'll just take
Nothing
it anyway.
to lose.
Yeah, I'm not.
Even if it's not tested. Okay, what would you do?
When it does come here, I'd probably hang on a little while. Yeah, probably maybe 3 months or something.
Aren't
like
you
that.
scared of, like, you remember I can't say this word,
well,
help me out on
no,
it.
the
thalidomide thing, right, was in some sort of drug. Like one generation down the line, there were babies being born with three hands, and
I'm not having
you don't
kids.
know.
I'm not having kids.
It's never
are
been
you?
tested. 3 months testing normally takes 2 years.
I'm not
going to
get pregnant. I mean,
I don't really want to argue about like the vaccine, but there's a lot of computer modelling now, and there's a lot of things that have changed since back in those days.
Yeah.
And everything's been sped up.
So it can be checked better.
Yeah, I think that technology is just amazing, and the fact that they can all share the data together. I remember running a program years ago to help with cancer on a computer, and it's trying to use everyone's computer
Yeah, I've
now.
heard about this.
Like especially with a vaccine, all of these universities have connected together. Everyone said, right, we're not doing it for money. We're going to connect together, and we're going to help each other.
So whether I've heard about this, and it's like mind-boggling what they're doing on the computers. But I just think that a normal flu vaccine, the normal one that you used to go for the flu jab, you used to have every year because strains were changing. And they were saying that flu jab on the strain that you were being vaccinated against took 2 years for testing before they put it into you.
Yes, I know.
So 3 months now, I don't get it.
All right. So I think it's like everything else, reducing your risk. Yeah, we don't know the actual side effects, but as you say, they've done modelling, etc. on it. So if you have an underlying condition, I'd probably be more nervous than not. Yeah. But after 3 months, I would do it. But another thing related to this, these drugs, the ones that have been approved, gone through FDA, maybe in the US, UK, let's say reliable nations, that you could trust them doing it. Then they say, in Thailand says, well, we want it, but we have to put it through the FDA process. Is your FDA process better than the UK's approved?
No.
Just
Well,
get the damn thing in.
don't
Yeah,
they?
Pretend, don't they?
They do that on all foods.
just get it in. Yeah.
Well, on that note, which camera do I talk into? He's going over there. Let us know, what do you think about the vaccines? I know this is a Pattaya report, but it's been a really sort of weird and interesting one today. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, then please do. Like and sharing helps as well. And just keep it tuned here to...
And don't forget to click
go.
the notification
Oh,
button.
yeah, the bell on the corner, because then you get notified when we've uploaded a video, basically, right?
Yep, and more
Thanks to the
videos coming
panel,
up.
Brian, as always, and Craig. Thanks for coming down. Thanks for all the paperwork you did getting here. Thank you, Brian, for all the paperwork you did getting here. And we'll see you next time on Bangkok Chit Chat.
Thank you.
Bye.